I've had the BeQuiet PureBase 500DX for a long time now. A long time. So long, in fact, I've had to dust it off. And I've been wanting to do a build with it, but I just haven't made the time to get it done. Well, that changed today because I finally got my butt in gear, I turned on the camera, and I made this thing happen. Hello and welcome to Danny's Tech Channel. I'm Danny, and if you've never been here before, I like to do hardware reviews, PC builds like this one, and sometimes I'll do a how-to video every once in a while also. Now, if you want to see the video about the PureBase 500DX, this isn't it. I'll link that video below, which will have a full review on the case if you're interested. This video is simply a combo that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I just needed an excuse to use the case, so I thought I'd throw these components into it and see how it performed. I've been wanting to make a video using the i9 10850K and the RTX 2080 Ti. Now these are older components, I know. The processor is actually 2 generations old at this point, but this combo is still quite capable, as you're about to see. Let's take a look at the parts that I used in this build. For the processor, I'm using the i9 10850K. It's 10 cores and 20 threads and has a max boost clock of 5.2 gigahertz. It's basically just a 10900K that didn't make the cut. To cool the i9, I'm using the EK-AIO 240 D-RGB liquid cooler. This cooler is quiet, but also has great cooling performance, and I needed something strong enough to be able to cool the i9. The motherboard is MSI Z490 Tomahawk ATX motherboard. This is LGA 1200 socket, and it's a nice budget style Z-series motherboard. I used 2 8GB sticks of T-Force Vulkan Z RAM. This is at 3000 megahertz. I just chose it to match the build. I like the gray theme. I didn't really have any other gray RAM that would match that. For storage, I'm using the Samsung SSD 980 NVMe 1TB, not the Pro, this is just the regular 980. It has 3500 megabytes sequential read speeds and 3000 megabytes sequential write speed. The power supply is a Corsair RM850x. It's 80 plus gold and fully modular. The graphics card is EVGA's RTX 2080 Ti XC Gaming. It's just as powerful as an RTX 3070, but it gives you 11 gigs of VRAM instead of 8 gigs. And the cable extensions are CableMod Pro ModFlex black and white. Now that I outline the parts, I'll do a quick montage build and then I'll talk about performance. Now I wanted to mix things up a little bit. I usually do 1080p testing. I actually hooked this up to my editing monitor that I use, which is 4K, and did all the gambit of testing. So I did 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. All these tests were run on max settings with no DLSS and no ray tracing turned on. I also wanted to see some kind of comparison to other systems. So what I did is I ran all of these tests on the test system at 1080p, 1440, and 4K, but I went back again and used my editing rig, which is a RTX 3090 and a 5950X from AMD. And I threw those results in the charts here to kind of show you how capable this system is. First game I ran was Halo Infinite. On 1080p, my results were 132.2 FPS average, and then on 1440p, it went down to 100.7, and 4K, it took it down to 70.7. That's pretty impressive considering the editing rig got 87.9 FPS average, and that's a 3090. Next game up is Forza Horizon 5. At 1080p, it got 94.6 FPS average. At 1440p, it got 81.8, and at 4K, it got 59.3. The editing rig squeezed out an 81.8 FPS average. Next game up is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I got 149.8 FPS average at 1080p. Going up to 1440p, came to 120.4 FPS average, and 4K really puts the strain on that thing at 65.3. The editing rig managed to squeeze out 98.3 FPS average, which is quite a big bump actually from this system. Last game I played is Control. I got 114.8 FPS average at 1080p. On 1440, I was 73.7, and 4K went all the way down to 37.4. The editing rig managed 54.2. 37 FPS average on 4K on Control is not really impressive. In fact, I had a lot of micro stutters and stuff. The game was playable, but not very good quality. Please keep in mind for all this testing, this is done on the max quality settings. I changed the preset sliders all the way to max in every game, so just keep that in mind when you're looking at these graph charts. You can change the settings to a medium to a high or something like that, or a variation of both, and get much better performance. I just wanted to show you the highest possible settings to let you know that that's the worst FPS you'll probably get at each setting, unless you decide to enable ray tracing, which who's using that? I gotta tell you, I'm very impressed with this little system. This is a high-end combo, even by today's standards. I mean, just look at how it performed to the greatest high-end hardware that's out right now. Now, I'm not sure what this would cost you to build. I didn't look up any of these parts in the current pricing market. In fact, I don't even know if you could find these things if you wanted to. This was more or less just something fun for me to do, and I thought it might inspire you when you're building your next PC, maybe to take some styling cues or some color choices from myself. I guess there's really no color, is there? If you enjoyed the build, drop a like, consider subscribing down below, and maybe coming back for some more PC-related content. And as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next video.